Hi, welcome to Starz Recapped. Today, I'm going to explain an American action sci-fi movie titled In Time, which was released in 2011. Spoiler alert, watch out and stay sharp. The story begins with a man named Will Salas, who lives in a poor district called Dayton. The people in this area are extremely poor. Everyone has a maximum of 24 hours on their clocks. They have to earn time every single day by working. Otherwise, they run out of time and die. We are introduced to Will's mother, Rachel, whose 50th birthday is today. However, Will and his mom look the same age because, in this world, people stop aging physically after 25 years due to genetic engineering. People earn or transfer time instead of money. It's their currency and their life source. Will's mom says to him, "I want to see my grandchildren. Why don't you ever date anyone?" Will replies, "Who has time for that?" and heads to work because without working, he can't earn more time. And if someone's clock hits 0, they die instantly. On his way out, his mother gives him 30 minutes and says, "Have a nice lunch." She also tells him, "I have a late shift tonight, so I won't be home. Meet me at the bus stop tomorrow." Will answers, "Okay, I'll see you at the bus stop tomorrow. We'll celebrate your birthday then." Then Will heads off to his job. He works in a factory in the Dayton time zone. At lunch, when he goes to buy something to eat, he notices that prices have gone up. Where coffee used to cost 3 minutes, it now costs 4 minutes. In this world, prices can increase without warning, at any time, and without any notice. After work, Will heads to a bar, where he notices a man sitting alone, heavily intoxicated. At the same time, Will spots another man enter, the son of a man named Fortis, a time-stealing gangster who kills others to take their time. Will walks over to the drunk man and warns him, "You should get out of here. Someone's coming to steal your time." But the man doesn't pay attention. Soon after, Fortis shows up with his gang. The moment people see him, they scatter. Will stays hidden, watching everything unfold. Fortis approaches the drunk man and says, "That clock on your arm, that time would look better on me. I'm about to turn 75. I'm an old man. Let's see if you're worth fighting for it." The drunk man, named Henry Hamilton, replies weakly, "I just need some time." He stumbles into the restroom, sick from drinking. Will seizes the moment and helps Henry escape. They hide in an abandoned building nearby. Will learns that Henry has over 100 years on his clock, specifically 116 years. Henry asks, "How old are you?" 28. Will replies. "I'm 105, Henry says. Henry explains that he's from New Greenwich, a zone where the wealthy elite live. There, people can afford to live for centuries, even thousands of years, because they hoard time. Henry tells Will, "Do you know why prices and taxes keep going up? It's so people like you die, and people like me can live forever." He's disgusted by the system, knowing that every year he gains is one someone else loses. Henry then asks Will, "If you had all the time I have, what would you do?" "I'd stop watching the clock," Will replies. At that moment, Will only has 18 hours left. He's used to checking his time constantly, before sleeping, after eating, every moment, always calculating how long he can survive and how fast he needs to earn more. They fall asleep in the abandoned building. The next morning, Henry wakes up before Will and silently transfers all his time to him, except for a few final minutes. Henry then walks to a nearby bridge and sits on the edge. When Will wakes up, he looks at his clock and sees that it's now loaded with over a century of time, Henry's entire lifespan. He suddenly realizes what Henry has done, and that his life is almost over. Henry sits on the bridge, watching the sunrise, his time ticking down. He takes one last look around and sees Will. Will runs toward him, calling out, but before he can reach him, Henry's clock hits 0. Henry dies. Now Will inherits Henry's 116 years of time, making him instantly wealthy. With that much time, Will can finally cross over into New Greenwich, the time zone where the rich live indefinitely. But first, he remembers what really matters. He goes to pick up his mom, just as she told him to. Meanwhile, Rachel, Will's mother, boards the bus after paying off her bills. When she inserts her arm into the scanner to purchase a fare, the machine reads 2 hours. She's shocked. Yesterday, the same ride only cost 1 hour. She only has 1 hour and 30 minutes left on her clock. Desperate, she pleads, "My son will meet me at the next stop. I'll pay you the rest when I get there." But the driver coldly responds, "That's the policy." She turns to the other passengers, hoping for help, but no one steps forward. The driver says, "You can walk." "My home is 2 hours from here," she says, panic rising. "I only have 90 minutes left." "Then you better run," the driver says flatly. Rachel starts running. She runs as fast as she can, pushing her exhausted body, determined to reach Will before her time runs out. Along the way, she tries to flag down cars, begs for a lift, but no one stops. Meanwhile, Will stands at the bus stop with flowers in hand, ready to celebrate his mother's birthday. But as the bus arrives, he looks for her. She's not there. Something's wrong. He starts running toward the direction she would have come from. In the distance, he sees her, Rachel, running barefoot, barely able to keep going. He realizes her time is almost up. Will sprints toward her, arm outstretched, ready to transfer time. Rachel reaches out for him, but just inches from his hand, her clock hits 0. She dies in his arms. Will is shattered. Fueled by grief and rage, he heads to New Greenwich, the city where people live for centuries, untouched by the daily struggle for time. There, he checks into a luxury hotel, paying 2 months' worth of time up front. A week's worth of time is required just for food. In Dayton, people lived day by day, rarely having more than 24 hours. In New Greenwich, people walk slowly, drive slowly, because they have all the time in the world. Will visits a casino, but is told he must wait a year for membership to be processed. Still, he sits at the table and plays poker, ready to challenge the system from within. The man Will plays poker with is named Sylvia Weis. He's 85 years old. But like everyone in New Greenwich, he looks 25. Philippe is a powerful, wealthy businessman who lends time to others in New Greenwich. He's practically a banker of time. Sitting nearby is his daughter, Sylvia Weis, watching the game unfold. As the high-stakes poker match progresses, Will wagers nearly all of his time, betting everything he has on one hand. With just seconds left on his clock, dangerously close to timing out, Will wins the game. He walks away with a massive prize, 10 times more time than he entered with. Will had taken a huge risk, but he knew he had a strong hand. Impressed and intrigued, Sylvia invites Will to a party at her mansion the following evening. Will smiles and replies, "I'll be there." Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, the timekeepers, police officers who monitor time transfers and time crimes, investigate the mysterious death of Henry Hamilton, the man who gifted Will 116 years. Henry's body was found under a bridge. The timekeepers, led by Raymond Leon, arrive on the scene and begin their investigation. They check surveillance footage and spot Will nearby at the time of Henry's death. Since Henry was from New Greenwich and had well over a century on his clock, the timekeepers believe Will murdered him and stole his time. They begin tracking him. The next day, Will attends Sylvia's lavish party. The two of them dance, clearly enjoying each other's company. But then, timekeeper Raymond Leon arrives at the party and confronts Will, pulling him aside to a private room. "What are you doing here?" Raymond demands. "I got here legally," Will answers calmly. "Paid at every toll, every checkpoint." Raymond glances at Will's arm and sees that he has over 1,000 years of time. Will explains, "I won most of it in a poker game, but the original 116 years, that was a gift from Henry Hamilton." Raymond doesn't believe him. He seizes all of Will's time, leaving him with only 2 hours. Raymond locks him in a holding capsule. But before the timekeepers can transport him back to Dayton, the ghetto zone where Will is from, Will breaks free. He grabs Sylvia Weis at gunpoint and escapes in a car. Raymond gives chase, but Will manages to lose him. With only minutes left, Will looks at Sylvia and says, "My time's running out. I need an hour." But Sylvia refuses to let Will time transfer from her. She says, "You murdered Henry Hamilton. Take me home." Will replies, "I can't do that, because you're the reason I'm still alive. If I let you go, they'll kill me." Will drives off in the stolen car with Sylvia beside him. But soon after, the car crashes, and both of them lose consciousness. They wake up in Dayton, the impoverished time zone Will comes from. Just then, Fortis and his gang, the same time thieves Will once stopped from robbing Henry, arrive. They see the 100 years showing on Sylvia's arm. Fortis and his men quickly drain all of her time and walk away. When Will and Sylvia regain consciousness, Sylvia sees she has only 30 minutes left. Will smirks and says, "What do you think about sharing now?" Even though Sylvia didn't help him earlier, Will still gives her a few minutes of his time to keep her alive. They escape together. Will then takes Sylvia to his best friend Burrell's house. He had once gifted Burrell 10 years. But when they arrive, Burrell's wife answers the door in tears. She says Burrell had started drinking heavily and couldn't handle having that much time. He died. Now Will and Sylvia only have 3 minutes left on their clocks. They're almost out of time, but Sylvia has a pair of expensive earrings. They pawn them for 2 more days' worth of time. With time back on their clocks, Will calls Philippe Weis, Sylvia's father. He says, "If you want your daughter back, you'll need to give me 1,000 years." Timekeeper Raymond Leon is present during the call and speaks to Will too. Will demands the years in exchange for Sylvia. Raymond warns, "Even if you get the time, you won't be able to spend it." In other words, Raymond intends to kill him before he can. Will responds, "Then tomorrow morning make sure those 1,000 years are distributed to the workers on Dayton's time zone line." He and Sylvia return to his home in Dayton. They talk for a long time. Sylvia hears about Will's mother, how she died just seconds away from getting more time. She sees how hard people here fight just to survive hour by hour. Something shifts in her. She starts to understand and care for Will. The next morning, they go to the Dayton Time Bank, where people buy and deposit time. But there's no sign of the promised distribution. Will realizes that Philippe never intended to send the time, so Sylvia makes a call to her father herself, while Will gives her a gun, just in case. As Sylvia talks, Raymond suddenly shows up. Will doesn't see him coming. He's crouched nearby. Before Raymond can fire, Sylvia acts fast. She shoots the gun from his hand. Will turns the tables and holds Raymond at gunpoint. Then he notices something. Raymond's own clock is nearly at 0. Raymond forgot to add more time and his car has already been taken away. Without hesitation, Will gives Raymond a few minutes, enough to save his life. "This is a gift from me," Will says as he and Sylvia leave in a stolen car. Now Sylvia is also considered a criminal by the timekeepers. A warrant is issued for her arrest. Back in New Greenwich, Sylvia's father, Philippe Weis, tries to bribe timekeeper Raymond Leon to drop the case. He asks, "How many years would it take for this to go away?" Raymond replies, "You could give me all the time you have, and I still wouldn't look the other way." With that, Raymond walks out. Meanwhile, it's clear that Will and Sylvia have fallen in love. Sylvia has come to see the truth of the injustice faced by the people in Dayton. She realizes how her father's system is built to keep the poor dying and the rich living forever. Weiss's company lends time at high interest rates, trapping people in poverty. So Sylvia and Will hatch a plan. They're going to rob her father's time vault. The next morning, the two break into the vault and leave with a briefcase full of time capsules, each containing years of life. They step outside where a crowd has gathered. Sylvia calls out, "Take what you need. Time belongs to everyone." The people rush forward, grabbing capsules, gaining years, finally able to live without fear of sudden death. Will and Sylvia disappear into the crowd and continue their mission. They carry several more time capsules and begin distributing them to others in the ghetto, ordinary workers and families who have never known security. Later, they rest briefly at a rundown hotel. But now the government and the timekeepers fight back. There's a 10-year bounty placed on Will and Sylvia's heads. Posters and alerts go out. Reward, 10 years for information. Elsewhere in Dayton, a new gang led by Fortis's successor, 40J, begins preying on people again, stealing time at gunpoint from the desperate and vulnerable. The cycle of exploitation hasn't stopped. Yet. These are the same men who stole 100 years from Sylvia. They're also the ones who tried to rob Henry Hamilton of his 116 years, the man Will saved back in the bar. Now, Fortis and his gang have tracked Will and Sylvia's location. They arrive with weapons drawn. Fortis grins and says to Sylvia, "Thanks for the 100 years." That's when it becomes clear. Fortis was the one who drained Sylvia's time. He turns to Will. "Why don't we settle this the old-fashioned way?" They prepare for a time fight, a dangerous contest where two people lock arms and try to overpower the other. Whoever gains control drains the other's time directly. The fight begins. Fortis starts strong and quickly drains most of Will's remaining time. Seconds from death, Will turns the tables, twisting Fortis's arm down and gaining the upper hand. Time begins flowing from Fortis into Will. As Fortis's life ticks away, his gang steps forward to kill Will. But Will, now with just moments left himself, pulls out a gun and shoots all 4 of them. Fortis collapses, his time fully drained. Will survives, having taken all of Fortis's remaining years. As sirens approach, Will and Sylvia flee the scene before the timekeepers arrive. While on the run, Will tells Sylvia, "We stole a few thousand years and gave them away. It's not enough. They'll just raise prices again. We can't win like this. There has to be a way," Sylvia replies. "We need millions of years to make a real difference," Will says. "I have a plan," she responds. The two of them head back to New Greenwich, where Sylvia leads Will to her father's time bank. They hold Philippe Weis, Sylvia's father, at gunpoint and steal a capsule containing 1 million years. They make their escape as alarms go off. Raymond Leon, the relentless timekeeper, arrives moments later, but they're already gone. Raymond gets in his patrol car and begins the chase. He glances at his wrist, 44 minutes and counting. He radios headquarters, "Send me my salary." As a timekeeper, Raymond receives a daily allotment of time instead of a fixed amount, just enough to survive. But before the time is transferred to his clock, He spots Will and Sylvia's car speeding ahead. He floors the accelerator. But before he can catch them, Will and Sylvia cross the border into Dayton, where thousands of people are gathered. Everyone in Dayton needs time. And Will gives them the capsule, the time capsule holding 1 million years of life. Right then, Raymond Leon arrives and pulls a gun on them. But the crowd starts to panic, rushing in to get time, and in the chaos, Will and Sylvia take the opportunity to escape. Raymond chases them down and eventually catches up. He aims to arrest both of them and bring them in. Will looks him in the eye and says, "I gave you time once. Now I need it back." Will and Sylvia only have seconds left. Suddenly Raymond realizes he never transferred his daily salary into his body. He still has time, but it's not on his clock. His wrist shows 5 seconds remaining. He can't do anything. Raymond times out. He falls dead. But Will and Sylvia are also out of time. They each have about a minute left, and no one's around to help. They kiss, believing this will be their final moment together. Just as they prepare to die, Will spots Raymond's car. "Run!" he tells Sylvia. They sprint toward it. Will reaches the vehicle first and uses the time capsule inside to restore his time. But Sylvia is lagging behind. Will turns back and races toward her. Only a few seconds remain. It mirrors the moment he tried to save his mother. Just 1 second too late. But this time, fate is on his side. With 1 second to spare, Will grabs Sylvia's wrist and transfers time into her. She survives. Meanwhile, it's shown that the Dayton Time Lending Company, owned by Sylvia's father, Sylvia Weis, has shut down. Now people in Dayton have plenty of time. They're sharing time with each other. No one needs loans. No one has to live minute to minute anymore. Everyone is smiling. Everyone is free. Back in New Greenwich, the senior timekeeper, Jagger, is watching the fallout. He reflects on Raymond's dedication, how hard he fought to stop Will and Sylvia. Another officer turns to him and asks, "What do we do now?" Jagger simply says, "Go home. That means the chase is over. For now." But the government has issued a 100-year bounty for Will and Sylvia. Anyone who reveals their location will receive a century of life. In the final scene, Will and Sylvia are seen standing outside a massive time bank, much larger than the last one. They're planning another heist, not for themselves but to steal more time capsules and share them with everyone. Sylvia now understands the truth. The luxurious life she once lived came at the cost of others' lives, so she turned against her father and chose to fight for those who never had a chance. And the story ends there, with hope, rebellion, and a fight for equality. That's my explanation of the movie In Time. So guys, what do you think of the movie? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel. Thanks for watching. First, he remembers what really matters. He goes to pick up his mom, just as she told him to.